What about women on women? Do you mind that?
I don't mind it as far as marriage. I would tell her I love her, but I wouldn't go to the wedding.
But you like watching girls with girls, Boosie?
Because, you know, my family is built on legacy. You know, if I let that slide, that shit gonna slide from my son, from my grandson. I'ma love them to death, but I won't support marriage. I'm not giving my child away to another woman.
Homophobia has taken up residency in hip-hop because the culture is deeply rooted in contradiction. Musical descriptions of gun violence, exaggerated sex escapades, and drug selling, using, are all accepted and defended as verbal expressions of life. At the same time, homosexuality is cast down and out as something worse than a garbage pail demon. To rob, steal, and kill on a record is somehow a less threatening and negative influence on children than the supposed horrors of homosexuality. By its mistreatment and alienation of even the remotest semblance of homosexuality, hip-hop has, for too long, aligned itself with the same system it initially spoke out against. Boosie has been known for homophobic rants, and in particular, a strange obsession with Dwayne's trans daughter, Zaya Wade. So much so that people were in a huge uproar and concern for his daughter, Ivyona, also known as Poison Ivy. So the recent homophobic mess with Boosie has been towards his daughter, Poison Ivy, a talented and basically unproblematic rapper. Many found it ironic and even humorous that this man would have a lesbian daughter, and many were also concerned how he would acknowledge or respond to her identity as she pronounced herself as someone who was gay as a young adult.
You pretty much disowning him. I can't.
No, hell no. I'ma love him to death, but I won't support marriage. I'm not giving my child away to another woman. So you know, I would love her to death, you know, but I'm not. I don't want to start that. As me, I have the right to do that. As parents, we have the right to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody parent different, but as parents, once that.
In interviews, Boosie has addressed his quote-unquote Southern upbringing and says he loves his daughter but doesn't accept her quote-unquote lifestyle, as many Southern and Black people do say those type of things. His recent interview with Carisha and even Vlad kept pushing questions towards his daughter's sexuality. Boosie said the following in a Carisha interview.
So when your daughter came out and told you she was gay, it was nothing. I mean, she still can't bring her situation to our house. My daughter is grown.
Well, why? She's grown.
Because I don't want it to contaminate her other. It's a generation we raised. I don't want her to get to contaminate it to her other 6, 7 sisters who look up to her. I want them to bring me grandchildren the right way.
Yeah, Boosie crazy.
If I want grandchildren the right way, that's what I'ma stand on. But I don't want my other little girl to look at that and say, "What's that, Daddy?"
Contaminated.
To somebody she looks up to, it's not gonna come around. My grandpa didn't let it. My daddy didn't let it. And I didn't let it.
Which is also interesting because Young Miami is someone who has either identified or entertained being bisexual. Then on Vlad of course carried the carrot to be intrusive, and Boosie took the bite.
Your oldest daughter, Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Recently came out.
Yeah.
And obviously your stance on homosexuality and all of our interviews and everything else like that became front and center.
Right.
Now, this is your oldest child, period.
Yeah.
She's also a rapper.
Yeah.
It's very dope. I've heard her freestyle. She, you know, I mean,
she's hard.
And she said, you know, she did an interview. She said, if my dad wasn't Boosie, you know, nobody would care that I like girls. But the fact that my dad is Boosie, it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's a talking point. Not to say it's an issue. It's just a talking point.
Yeah.
So, number one, Did you know about this before she made it public or not really?
Nah, I didn't. Like, she used to be with a boy I thought she was dating who used to come to the house, but I don't think that was her boyfriend now. You know, I think that was just like a friend or something. But, our family is a real Southern Baptist family. So I got a respect for her family and everything for what she does. You know, so, her coming out at this age that's the time that's when you know what you want.
How old is she?
Finna be 22.
Okay.
That's what you know what you want. You know, and, even though it won't be accepted as far as, cause I don't want nobody in my other family to think it's okay. But what she does, we're gonna love her to death. We're gonna love her, you know, we're gonna love her to death. But at the same time, it's our family, it's never been that way. You know, it's never been accepted. Our preacher, grandfather, grandmother, preacher, like, you know, like, but at the same time, she grown. She can do what the hell she want.
Yeah.
She can do what the hell she want. She old enough to know what she want. And and that's her.
I think both interviews pushed his daughter over the edge because she broke down on Instagram Live crying.
And you get to talking about God. Like, I don't know my God. He talking about God and how I grew up. I know my God from Nita. From my mama. My mama sent me scriptures every morning. My mama put me in the church home. I don't recall not one time I'm ever getting up with you and you taking me to the Lord's house. I don't never recall it. I didn't learn that from you. I learned to hustle from you. I learned to not let nobody play with me from you. Even if it's you. You get what I'm saying? And it's crazy because I never downplayed you. I never said you was a bad father, because you not. You gonna make sure your kids straight. You always gonna do that. But emotionally, mentally, you suck.
I think it's really sad for Ivy to have carried her dad's burdens. For example, Boosie often says ignorant things and has been locked up for a huge portion of her life. You would think that her loyalty would offer some type of reciprocity since they are family. But unfortunately, Boosie seems to care only about his ego, or if children are getting quote-unquote sex changes, him reiterating that Dwayne Wade should not cut off Zaya's. Let me just play the video.
Dwayne Wade, you going too fucking far, dog. That is a male. A 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have shit figured out yet. He might meet a woman, anything at 16 and fall in love with her. But his dick be gone. How you gonna, like, bro, you going too far, dog. Don't cut his dick off, bro. Like, bro, for real. If you gonna be gay, let him be gay. But don't cut his dick off, bro.
I think that Boosie taking heed to Dwayne Wade's parenting of unconditional love could basically help his own relationship with his daughter. Dwayne Wade actually addressed the ongoing commentary on Zaya's transgender identity, and he said the following: "At the end of the day, what I'm dealing with people, I'm dealing with life and death. It's people in the transgender community that are getting unalived. It's kids that are murdering themselves, that are hanging themselves. They're killing themselves because something as simple as acceptance." Wade explained during his appearance on the I Am Athlete podcast. Something as simple as unconditional love is not being given to these kids. And I'll be goddamned if my child gonna be that person because of something as simple as me supporting who you are. I think that is very important when we think about how children are basically endangered, how young adults are basically endangered based on their identity. And now I'm going to play some public opinion, and then I'm going to conclude.
It is so interesting to watch Lil Boosie consistently get on the internet and attempt to reprimand his children as if he is not constantly experiencing an environment meet product moment. Like, your children are a product of their environment, sir. And I feel like he is just a perfect example of why we as people just have to stop believing that having a certain amount of money is all that is required to provide your children with a good life. Because while yes, you may be able to move your children out of the projects, the issue is a lot of times these rappers move the projects into the gated community with them. So it's like, yeah, you move your children into a mansion, but you're also bringing in your homeboys and their girlfriends and sex workers and strippers and guns and drugs and this and that and the other. And so moving your children into this 12-bedroom mansion, but then subjecting them to the same things that they would be subjected to had they just lived in the hood kind of defeats the purpose. Am I wrong? And then two, while I understand the premise of wanting your children to be better than you, unfortunately, the reality is a lot of times your children do what you do and they don't do what you say. You can't really spend your entire life and build an entire career off of portraying a certain image and then get upset at your children for also wanting to portray that same image when they get older. Because while a lot of people love to go on and on about, oh, their kids don't take advantage of the opportunities they've been given. However, at the same time, you have to realize that these kids grew up watching their fathers and thinking that's what they needed to do in order to also be successful. And it was just especially hypocritical to watch Lil Boosie in that video where him and T.I. pulled up on their sons when they had the guns and stuff in their music video. Watching him agree with T.I. when he was going on about like, oh, why don't y'all rap about love or something? Because it's like, Boosie, isn't this you?
I got my sons suck earth. I got that suck earth. Yeah, all my nephews. Ask any one of my nephews or ask any one of my nephews or my sons who got them they first hit. Big dog. Yeah, ask any of my nephews who got them they first hit. Big dog. Yeah. I've been got my son. So. My 9-year-old, 10-year-old, I showed all of them how to put on rubber. Before you even start having sex, I show my sons how to put on rubber. Ain't finna get my son no motherfucker out here. I'm training them boys right. Ask any of my nephew. Ask any of them. Ask my son. Yeah. They 12, 13. They got. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Hell yeah, I got my son. He's right. Yes, a grown woman. Grown, super grown. Super grown. Check this out. Checked all my nephews out.
And while I know so many of you are going to get in the comments and be like, oh, that's old, that happened so long ago, that's the point. It is old, and y'all didn't make a big enough deal about it for me. Because how are you expecting your son to go out there and rap about love when you say out of your own mouth that you've taught him from a very young age to view women as objects? You make all this money, that's what you're using it for, and then you try to convince me that having a lot of money is all you need to provide your children with a safe and healthy environment? The math ain't mathin', Steven.
Scorpio to Scorpio, and yes, I am a Scorpio. I kind of feel bad for Boosie, because one thing I know about him, his heart is pure, but his deliverance when it comes to communication is all wrong. And I'm guilty of it myself. I understand. Then being a public figure, I know it kind of make it hard on him, but I do think a conversation between him and his daughter needs to be had, and it shouldn't be had on social media. You can tell she's very hurt by the things he said, which I would too when he used the word contaminated. And I think they need to have a sit down. The biggest flaw of a Scorpio is expressing their feelings. My family fuss at me all the time. They say I never say I love you and none of that. And I think because it's hard for us, because once you're close to us, you're very close. But when it comes to a parent and their child, and y'all know parenting don't come with a handbook, some hard conversations have to be had. Boosie, you gotta be the grown up.
So I just watched a video, Boosie's daughter Ivy making a video about her dad, on how she's tired of her dad talking about her sexuality. And I really think that Ivy is his golden child. And I think that's why she goes through all she does with her dad. And from like what I got from the video that she had made, he kind of like disregards her feelings. Like do you consider her feelings before talking about her on interviews or saying this about her sexuality and stuff? Like, the amount of respect that she has for her dad has allowed her to come at her dad respectfully and not talk to him crazy on the internet. Like, she really communicates very well, and it was very genuine and thoughtful how she went about it. In fact, I really think that Ivy picked up on her dad's mannerism, because at times children start to behave like the parent or people they look up to. So seeing his daughter try to express her feelings and stuff, really all she wants is her dad to really like consider her feelings, basically, is what I got from the video.
It was really hard to watch that video that Boosie daughter made. Simply because it's like you can see that her feelings is shattered. You can see that she really didn't want to have to confront her dad, but she felt as though she needed to stand up for herself. And all I'm gonna say to just pretty much all parents is, first and foremost, you guys, when it comes to our children, they should be off limits. When people ask you questions that you know can be touchy about them, like she said, it was just best for him to say, you know, she know I don't really condone that, but she know I love her, I support her, and that ain't never gonna change. We don't have to go into specifics, and we don't have to always hold ourselves to that I'm real no matter what, so I'm gonna say what's on my mind just to try to prove to the world that we stand on business and we are solid and real, or whatever it is that he felt he needed to stand on at that moment. When it comes to your daughter, she is what matters. When it comes to our children, they are who matter, not the world, not the way nobody else gonna view you. If one of your children feel as though they like whatever they like, it's not for us to hold condition on them and the love that we have for them. If you are a parent that has conditions on how you choose to love your child, you don't deserve that child. And I hope that that child understands to get far away from you. We are these kids' parents. We gave birth to them. They share our DNA. They are not our twins. They do not have to do everything the way we want them to do it, and they don't owe us anything except the best they can give us, the best they can do. But as a parent, we got to stop thinking that we have control over them. We don't have no control over what they want, what they like. They are individual people. They have their own thought process, their own personalities, their own preference, their own likes. I'm never going to tell my daughter that if you don't do this and you don't do that, then I'm not going to love you. And although Boosie didn't say that he didn't love her, she said you suck when it comes to emotionally being there for me. So that's the same as not feeling love. Somebody can tell you they love you all day, but if you can't feel it, that's very heartbreaking. I would never make my daughter feel like that. I would never make my daughter feel as though she got to come to the internet because you came to the internet first. Man, when it comes to interviews about our children, or when somebody is questioning us about our children, that type of stuff is off limits. Can't nobody say nothing about my daughter to me. When I tell you I love my daughter with every breath in me, I love my daughter more than I love myself. I don't care what her preference is. I don't care who she chooses to love. I don't care. You can support your kid without condoning the things that they do. But to make them feel as though you don't love them because of what they like, that's deep. We do not own our children in that way. And we should not be holding conditions over them. That's why you're supposed to love them unconditionally. I can't roll with Boosie with that, man. That's not cool. That seeing that little girl with her feelings on the internet like that I couldn't even finish watching it because it's disturbing and it's heartbreaking. I'm never going against my daughter for no likes the world or nobody's.
Approximately 1 in 5 Black cisgender women in the United States identify as lesbian, bisexual, or queer. They are 2 times higher than any other racial group in the sexual minority community. Black sexual minority women, also known as SMW, are more likely to report more life stressors, poorer psychological health, and less social well-being than white sexual minority women. Yet Black SMWs have often been overlooked in psychology research that focuses on their social well-being, including investigations of risk factors, minority stressors, and facilitators, for example, social support community and connectedness of social well-being and mental health. I think it's interesting how Boosie is damaging another relationship with his daughter. Not so long ago, he had another daughter who basically said she wanted nothing to do with him. I think he literally taunts both of his dark-skinned daughters, who happen to be older in public and online, but he seemed a bit more gentler to the youngest, whom has arguably lighter skin. And that's just my opinion. Now, I remember he left The Color Purple when it debuted with his younger daughter. And he said that he didn't like the kissing scene, which is his right. But I think it's just very interesting how most Black men already acknowledged they didn't like The Color Purple for various reasons. And you would think he would know that there was a kissing scene and that that movie wasn't really age appropriate. It's weird how Boosie picks and chooses what's appropriate, like acknowledging that he got his children, particularly his sons, sex workers, to perform fellatio on them, to quote unquote, get them boys right.
Oh, but my sons, you know, it's my son, 16 years old, they like, yeah, my son right now 15. At 16, you know, they get head.
You get you.
If they ask me, like my son Tootie, he asked me when he was 16. He was like, Dad, I want some head. So Tootie got head at 16, but I think he was before then. I wasn't in his business, but I was trying to get girls to come over and stay with him. You know, I was trying to get them. I'm throwing the pussy. I'm throwing the pussy out. Yeah, we be all in the mall. I'm telling my son that she go right there. My 14-year-old, I be tapping him like this.
That she go right there.
MJ, that she go right. Look at that little thing right there. Go get her, MJ. My son, hey, what's up? Well, you nice. My son, they got that game. They like pretty women because they always saw me date pretty women. Yeah, so they like pretty women. So.
I feel like Boosie has a lot to say about, again, who's gay, and what's acceptable. He even have rap lyrics of two red bones kissing in the backseat. So I think someone who is just so raunchy and again glorified dealings with like hanging out with P. Diddy and his music is just very hypocritical. I truly feel bad for Poison Ivy, who comes off as sensitive and a hard worker and very talented and who tries to be respectful of her family. What are your thoughts on this subject? And let me know down below. Thank you so much for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.